Hello everyone, that's me, Alexandra. I'm from the Netherlands, the city called Tilburg, that's in the south of the country. I haven't been much uploading my videos online because, to be honest, I was quite busy with my Russian channel and I was shooting a lot of videos for that channel. So I haven't really paid much attention to my English-speaking channel for my English-speaking audience. I know it's just a few people there, but it's so important for me to share what I want to share with you because I believe my experience is quite unique. Probably some of you don't know about me. I'm originally come from Moscow, from Russia. I have spent a year and a half in New York City. I was traveling all over East Coast, living, learning English, and by now it has been 5 years since almost 5 years since I'm living in the Netherlands. I'm a Dutch citizen, I have dual citizenship. I'm a Russian citizen and also a Dutch citizen. I'm married to a Dutch partner. We have a child together, we have a house, we have two wonderful pets, cat and a dog. And my experience about life is quite unique because I had an opportunity to experience two Western cultures that a lot of times are not really well known in terms of the way they operate inside, the way people treat each other and how the relationship go in those countries. And a lot of times they're just being perceived as two Western nations that have more in common than, you know, anything different, let's say, between them. But I really want to break this myth. I really want to emphasize the fact that Dutch and Americans are super different. They're different in terms of their priorities, in terms of the way they see life, how they treat each other. And today's video I would like to call Dutch successful but insensitive nation. And I will open up this subject for you. There might be a bit of a shocking thing for you, like what? What does she say? You know, like she means it that bad? Not really. Dutch people know it about themselves as well, but before I start, I would like to ask all my viewers to become my subscribers, to click the subscribe button, to click on like, you know, to give me this feedback that you like what I'm saying. Write your comments down below. That's okay to have any kind of opinion. I'm totally okay with that. But what I'm not tolerating on my channel is any kinds of insult, any kinds of useless arguments, you know, because we don't have to prove anything to each other, you know. Each and every one of us has their own values, character, life experience, level of education, and I'm not sure we can change each other's minds just by keep, you know, writing those comments and arguing there. So I would like to keep the atmosphere friendly, very delicate, and very much respectful. So please follow those rules. If not, you're gonna be deleted, and you will keep talking to yourself. So let's begin. As I said to you earlier, I'm a Dutch citizen at this moment. You know, I have a Dutch passport, but 5 years ago when I just moved to the Netherlands, the situation was quite different. I was just an immigrant. I had to go through inburgering courses. That's an integration course in English, and I had to pass a whole lot of bunch of exams that were very much, how should I say that correctly, like having some insulting questions in them and humiliating questions in them. Those books and those studying materials were not really organized in a respectful way. They contain questions like, can you rape women in the Netherlands? Should you beat homosexual people? And I understand that Dutch people have a perception of foreigners that hate, you know, anything different, that beat women and just want to murder anyone who belongs to LGBT community. But it's not really the case for each and everyone, and by constructing those kind of books you actually hurting the feelings of immigrants who have nothing to do with those books. You kind of show them their place, that their place is there. This is what we think about you. And I'm kind of moving close to the point where I want to say that Dutch people, what I said earlier in this video, are very much insensitive people, unfortunately. I don't mean to hurt them. They're very successful. They have a very high IQ level. They organize their country in a beautiful way where everything works quite efficiently, where old people are taken care of, invalids are taken care of. We don't have homeless animals, we have beautiful shelters. Everything is working really well, just most of the things, and nothing is perfect anyway, right? But things are working really well. But when it comes to interpersonal relationship, the relationship between people, Dutch people show a very, very low EQ level, emotional intelligence. They have very low understanding of what other people can think or feel when they say certain things, and most of the foreigners actually know it. For instance, I'm going to give you a simple example. This is the most common example that Dutch people like to talk about when they describe how blunt and straightforward they are. For instance, a Dutch person meets his or her friend, and the friend has a new haircut or a new shirt or anything like that, and this person is kindly, politely asking, what do you think about my haircut or a t-shirt? And if a Dutch person finds it not so nice, they simply and blindly answer this person, I don't like that. It doesn't fit you. And they're very much happy about being like that. They think they're honest, but it has nothing to do with honesty whatsoever. You literally hurting somebody's feelings because you don't really know what's behind that story. Maybe that person was just, I don't know, like having a bad day, got a bad haircut, and it feels so terrible. It doesn't mean you have to lie your friend, your colleague. You can say like, oh, you kind of look a bit different than what I'm usually used to see you, and how do you find it yourself? Do you like it? A person says, what, I'm actually very much upset. I think it doesn't fit me at all. And you say, oh, that's okay. You can make your hair a bit different. You can use this product. You can wait a bit. Your hair will grow again, and it's all fine. And you can support this person instead of just saying this hurtful truth to them. But unfortunately, Dutch people don't really see it as something necessary to be said or done, and that's pretty sad because they miss a whole lot of emotions behind it. And there are so many examples I have oh my gosh I've experienced here. So many examples I can give you, and so many situations I have encountered while living here. And for instance, I can give you an example of me going to a dentist. I was, I think, a few weeks pregnant, and I had a small teeth problem, just little crack, and I had to go to the dentist to fix it. It was not much of a big deal to do, but I decided it was right to warn a dentist that I was pregnant. So while I was entering, we greet each other. He asked what my problem is. I decided to mention that, I'm actually a few weeks pregnant, so if you're going to use any anesthesia or any medications on me, just keep that in mind. And the reaction was quite unique. He was like, oh, congratulations, or no congratulations. These days you don't know what to say. It is like, what? I'm just telling you that I'm pregnant. That means I'm actually caring about the fact that I'm pregnant, otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned this. It's not really funny. It's not really, how should I say, it's not really anything like something you can say to a pregnant woman. For so many women, getting pregnant is an extreme process. So many women go through very rough, painful, heartbreaking treatments to actually get pregnant. And now you're making this kind of stupid, completely unacceptable joke that you don't know if you congratulate you or not. That's really, really weird. Dutch people generally tend to, coming to the kind of next point or next note that I've made while living here, Dutch people tend to be very very blunt and a bit pushy while they actually say their opinion. Americans are also very opinionated people. People can think very differently, just as Dutch do or any other people. But in the States, for instance, when two people, talk about something what can be very sensitive to both of them, or just about anything, they try to not You try to feel the boundaries and not to hurt each other. You can say, you know what, I am actually believing in, you know, doing it like that. But you can have your own opinion. That's totally fine. Everybody's different. They immediately kind of give you a feeling that that's okay if you think differently. You know, I'm not really, I don't know, just going over you. You know, just I'm okay with you thinking or feeling different. When Dutch people speak, they sort of like push their opinion on you. They're having like no compromise in what they're saying. This is the right and you have to do it like this. And you're like, what? Like, I'm not even sharing your opinion. I'm not actually supporting what you're saying. And why you think you have to talk to me so discompromised? You know, why are you carrying conversation such way? And for people who are quite sensitive as I am, that's extremely uncomfortable. It's super disturbing, and a lot of my American friends are saying exactly the same. That they're feeling like, you know, not really, yeah, it's different feeling. I'm gonna give you more examples of, you know, how Dutch people are, and you will get my feeling too if you are a sensitive person too. For instance, I have mentioned this earlier. I have studied at Tilburg University. I graduated from Tilburg University with my master degree in international law and human rights. And because the city where we live and where I studied is in the south of the Netherlands, so in the south of the Netherlands, next country we have as a neighbor is Belgium. So we have had quite a lot of Belgian professors. And a lot of them have had a very, and I'm still having a very hard time with Dutch students because they believe in this what's called gelijkheid. Gelijkheid is like equality, that we're all equal, we're all the same. That's something what I completely refuse to believe because we're all so different. And some of us more talented, some of us more contributive, more brilliant, more gifted, and some of us are lazy, stupid, I don't know, like anything bad, just name it, you know. And we're not all the same. It's not some kind of like mass where like everyone is so much valued. That's not really the way world works, unfortunately. But what I wanted to say about the Belgian professors, when they having like, you know, when they're giving a lecture, when they speak about something important, even Dutch student who can be like, I don't know, 20 years old, disagrees with something the professor has said or has mentioned, he or she just raises his hand and keep talking right after the hand without actually giving a professor a chance to say, okay, you can speak now, you know, I can pause, you know, I can take a break and just listen to your question. They just raise their arm and keep talking like, I disagree, you know. And that's actually shocks these Belgian professors. Poor little or big people, you know, they don't know how to respond to this because it's something that's completely inappropriate, you know. You have to, it doesn't mean you have to really like, you know, try to be super sweet to a professor just because, you know, he or she has achieved way more than you have done. Not really, but you have to really respect the position of authority, you know. He's not really came, you know, somewhere out of nothing, you know, like clean the floor and then drop by to give you a lecture. He or she has been working to do this for years, going through a whole lot of different things, and actually giving him or her a chance to let you speak is a matter of respect. But Dutch people don't see it, and they roll over with whatever they feel, and they think it's totally fine and acceptable. This is another example, okay? Another example from just my life. What I have encountered, you know, as a person who is living in the Netherlands and now being a Dutch citizen. I remember I was getting ready for our wedding. That was in March 2017, and I was going to different kinds of shops and outlets, you know, to just look for a wedding dress. And one day I dropped by an outlet that was in our city, and I was kind of like a bit nicely pushed to try a wedding dress, which I saw didn't really fit me because it was not my size, but the woman like, oh, you can try it on, maybe this and that, we can change it. So I was trying this wedding dress, and I was clearly seeing that it's not really my size. And what was the reaction of a salesperson? What did she say? She said, oh, you know what, if you lose about 5 kilos, you can really fit in it. I was like, what? Like, you know, I can lose like 5 kilos on my waist, but not in my other parts. It's what just nature has given to me. Like, what are you actually saying? How can you even say that to a woman who is getting ready to her marriage, you know, who is choosing her wedding dress, speaking English? She's definitely a foreigner. She has no one here, no support, no family behind. She's doing all alone with all the strength and pride that she has. And you saying this kind of stuff to her face? Like, really? Maybe, like, I know, maybe I'm sick and I can't lose my weight, and maybe I'm severe medication and trying to, I don't know, get pregnant or have some autoimmune disorder, or maybe I'm simply pregnant and I'm not really, you know, in the mood to tell you about this. You know, that's so disrespectful. And the shops, many times, like, when you try to pick the item that you like, for instance, I don't know, it can be like wherever, like PJ or underwear, wherever you're picking, you know, and the salesperson can say, oh no, you don't need that, take that. Huh? Like, how can you speak to someone like that as a salesperson? Like, you never say that. You can say, you know what, maybe it's nice to try this kind of item, or, I mean, I see you like that, but this is also something, you know, to consider. You know, they completely don't know those words. They out of them, really. And this is like such a difference with an American culture, when everybody's so considerable for the way you feel. And then that should run. Oh, this was actually an amazing story, and I would like to tell you about it. And my Russian speaking channel, I have uploaded a video. It was called Low Emotional Intelligence of Dutch people. A lot of people saw it as an insult. There was like a big debate about it, so all the negativity I just wiped out of the channel. But what was very interesting, a lot of people didn't really understand what I actually meant when I was saying this. But one of the example, you know, of those people, of those person who actually understood me, among many others, was a story. The story was told by a woman who had a neighbor, a Dutch neighbor, and his grown daughter and her boyfriend, who was coming from England. And once in the evening, she came across them. They were walking their dog, and this woman who was writing to me was walking her dog. And this Dutch man said, oh, like, you know, I see your dog, Oscar, blah, blah, blah. I'm so happy to see him. Can I give him a dog cookie? And she said, of course, sure. He gave a cookie to the dog of this lady. And then he turned around to the boyfriend of his daughter and said, huh, by the way, you also Oscar, do you need also a cookie? Huh? You know, and next day this woman met this old man, and he was so upset. He said, you know what, they decided to live in England. I was trying to be so nice to them. She was like, oh God. You know, and I mean, like, you don't say these things. And there's so many other stories like out of my life. I remember once when I was pregnant, I was getting ready to actually welcome our son, and I was buying a whole lot of clothes to just, you know, to prepare, and everything seems so new for me. First of all, I've never really cared about the newborn, so I never had younger brothers or sisters. Second of all, I was living, and I'm living still in the country where I wasn't born, so I didn't know all about the traditions, all about, you know, the special things connected to this baby world, you know. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe I can give this item, combine it with this one. And I was having this conversation with a salesperson, and she was looking at me and saying, no, that's impossible, with like an emotional face. And I'm like, what? No, we don't do it like that. How can you talk to a customer like that? You know, and it was for me quite shocking, especially when you have a big belly and you're super sensitive toward everything. And I wanted just to tear her apart. And the thing is, it's not, unfortunately, only salespeople or random neighbors who treat like that. Dutch people also who treat each other like that. Dutch people can be very insensitive to even close, not only insensitive, also emotionally close to even their family members, even to their partners, even with their children. You know, I've seen so many mothers just having face that really shows nothing, and with this face they keep talking to their kid like, oh, that is low shot, huh? And just really face shows nothing. And the saddest part about it, these kind of moms, they called relaxed, They call it rustig, what relaxed in English. This is the closest translations I can come up with. They think it's actually a good mom who's very relaxed. If you come to any kind of like any kind of place, like for instance, we have a consultatie bureau. It's sort of a place where you go to check your child growth, to do vaccination. It's a bit of a separate institution from the regular hospital. And if you meet like, a doctor or a nurse and you're like an emotional mom, you're showing how you feel, you're very expressive, they can find like, oh, you're like too much, you're like too stressful. But this unemotional face is cold face. It means she's rustic, but she's not rustic. She's just cold, unemotional, closed, and she's hurting her children. What she's creating for her children is called emotional neglect. They're not feeling comfortable of actually opening up to speak their feelings, to find right support, be gentle with words, be sensitive. It's all what Dutch culture doesn't know. I know it's quite shocking for you to hear, for a lot of you perhaps, but this is the truth. I'm not generalizing here, okay? There are so many families that don't have that, who are actually sensitive, who are actually caring, loving, but those are big exceptions. Most of the Dutch people are very much closed and reserved. To be honest, they use like a few words to describe how they feel, like leuk, niet fijn, goed, and like there's really a few words. They don't really, they don't really use them in words to describe how they feel about things, They find it sort of like unimportant subject, What is important is how much something costs, what about the money, what about the like everyday house chores, where to buy something cheaper or more expensive, how to make something work, which is great, They have succeeded in this already. I think Dutch people as a nation should actually turn their head toward the emotional component of life, to actually pay attention to what's going on with them as a nation in the emotional sense, like why they're closing each other so much from each other, why? I mean, there are many answers, including some historical basis behind it, but still they're very successful, but they're very insensitive guys. And like, yeah, what I also find very much insensitive stuff about Dutch people is like how they treat babies, Like in Russian culture, we are very much like super gentle with little creatures as babies. We talk to them sweet. We just try to give them as much rest as possible, not really exposing him too much. But what basically, I have been subscribed to one channel, to few channels of Dutch women who have children, and I've seen how they treat their children, which is very young. They like this super loud with them, hey, and they just like take some kind of, some kind of loud toy and they start doing in their face like this. And my son was just freaking the hell out from all of this, And when it comes to dogs, I've seen a lot of women which just like, I'm like, what? That's a dog and this is a child. So a lot of them are not really sensitive, how far they go with the children. Not really like sense, okay, I gave too much attention, I should step back a little bit. So they just super loud, it's super overwhelming in the face. And unfortunately, that's really not the best thing that has been done for the children, in my opinion. But when it comes to care, like the feeding them, the regular schedule, the whole lot of things, there's so many good things about Dutch culture. I don't want you to get me wrong, like, oh, I'm doing something, I'm saying something negative. No, Dutch people have a whole lot of good things in them, and especially people who work in the hospitals. I don't know how they get those angels, but they're amazing. They're super caring, they're super sensitive, they're super loving, super supportive. I really know how they squeeze them out of this insensitive Dutch nation, but that's who they are. I'm recording this video. I'm seeing that I'm being too long this moment, but I want to finish what I was saying. What's very important for me now, what I'm saying to you at the moment, is the fact that Dutch people are very much successful nation. That's my opinion. They have succeeded in so many things. But when it comes to being sensitive to one another, to open up, to connect, to not go over each other's feelings, they're still very far behind so many nations, including Western nations like Americans, for instance, or Canadians. And I think that's something what they have to think of, and I'm recording this video to let a lot of my viewers know. If you made a decision to move to the Netherlands for whatever reason, you have to keep this in mind. That's not an American culture. They won't be like super delicate and just afraid to say something when you hurt your feelings and apologize 1,000 times. No, it's not the case. They will be rude and they will be proud of it, and they will say like, oh, I'm just being honest. But you can say honest things in a very different way. And yeah, I think they a lot of times just push people out, especially from other cultures, like push them away from communicating with them because they're really like hurting. They work over your feelings. They not consider that you can have different opinion about stuff. And you know, when you feel that, you're like, okay, you know, I just will push you away from my life because I'm not comfortable with you. And you know, if you're not sensing it yourself, so it's, you know, we have different ways to go. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, that's who Dutch people are and like why they're very successful, but unfortunately still very insensitive. I really hope they will change, and I wish them to change, even though I'm a Dutch citizenship. You know, I'm not a person, you know, who grew up in the Dutch culture, so I still, in my mind, in my view of life, very much a foreigner, and I'm not really sure that, you know, our family will stay in the Netherlands like forever. So it's never been our goal for the next few years, for sure, but one day in life. So we're not really excluding the chance that we can be somewhere else, you know. And I'm still very thankful for a great experience. You know, I'm enjoying each and every day. There's so many beautiful things in Dutch culture, but there's one thing that is really uncomfortable, especially for foreigners, and I want to warn them about it. So I'm sorry that my video turned out to be so long, but I really have said everything I wanted to say, and I hope to reconnect with you guys in my new videos and, you know, give me feedback if that was interesting for you. So see you in my next video. Bye!